Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Military Money Man channel. Essentially, this channel is aimed at military personnel, and the end goal is to help you save money and or make additional money while you're in the military. So pay attention, look out for new videos, and hopefully I can help you make some money. Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the Thrift Savings Plan. Think of this as your 401k plan. This is in addition to your standard military 20-year retirement. And that goes also for the BRS blended retirement system members that are now joining the military and we're not grandfathered into the high three. So with that being said, let's take a look at the website. So what we have here, Thrift Savings Plan, once you get your account, log in, and you'll find your personal information, talks about your fund performance and everything else. But what you can do, let's look at the fund options. Individual funds, for instance. So when you look at the different funds, you've got 5 specific individual funds that you can look at, or you can look at the life cycle funds, which is a blend of the 5 different funds, and it changes depending on when you plan to retire. We'll go into more of that later. Looking at the individual funds, the G fund is your government treasuries, short-term U.S. Treasury securities. That's what bases your return. With the C fund, you're looking specifically at the S&P 500. The I fund is going to be your international fund. The F fund, also known as the fixed income fund, that's going to be based on bonds. And then the S fund is a small capital, or the Dow Jones completion total stock market. So when we look at these, it's important to note the specific returns over the lifetime, the last 10 years, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. Ultimately, what it's going to come down to is each person is going to have different goals and investment strategies. If I'm, let's say, 50 years old, I plan to retire when I'm 60, I should be looking at 10 years or less as far as the returns on each individual fund. However, if I'm just starting out in the military, let's say I've been in for 2 years, the government's starting to match me with that 5%, I'm going to want to be a little more aggressive, me personally. So, with that being said, I'm going to avoid the F fund, I'm going to avoid the G fund, because those are your safer stocks. C, S, and I are more so going to be your higher risk, so medium, medium high, and high, and therefore should see a better return. You look at the lifetime returns, you're looking at 11%, 9%, 5%. That's in contrast to, for instance, the G fund, where you only see a lifetime of 4.65 or 2% over the 10 years. With that being said, if you're looking at short term, 4%. This one over the last 3 years, for instance, was a negative 1.27%. So with that, you can quickly see that depending on when you plan to use your investments, it's going to highly hinge on what you should or shouldn't put your money into. Me personally, I'm within the C fund. I'm going to ride it out and hopefully take advantage of some of these higher percentages. With that being said, if you get any questions, feel free to hit me up. But as I said briefly earlier, the BRS system or the blended retirement system, those members, the main difference between that and the high three is first off, they're going to have a match of up to 5%. So that means the service member needs to put in at least 5% in order to get that match. GS employees or government employees essentially are going to already have that match. Doesn't matter if they were high three or not because there is no high three for them. They've matched always. As far as retirement talks, the difference in the retirement is a 2.0 multiplier times the number of years once they pass 20 years. So for 20 years times that 2.0 multiplier, they're going to be looking at a 40% of their base pay versus the high three is going to get 50% because it's a 2.5 multiplier, 2.5 times those 20 years, you're looking at 50%. That's the major difference between the two. So high three gets a higher retirement check from the 2.5 multiplier. BRS has the opportunity to collect more money because the government is matching their TSP. So as long as they put that 5% in through the length of their career, those last 18 years or more, then they also have the option of possibly making more money if they are in one of those more aggressive funds. With that being said, let's take a look at U.S. inflation over the recent years. So right here is the annual inflation. This is from Investopedia. Scroll back to the top. Inflation rate year to year, year over year from previous December. So you can see a lot of history here. But as I said, we're going to look at the more current rates. So last year, for instance, we had a 3.4%. 2022, we had a 6.5. 2021, 7. The reason why this is important right here is because if you're looking at these inflation rates, then we go back to the individual performance. If you were in the G fund over the last 3 years, technically you were losing money because it's averaging 3.29%, where your inflation was actually higher than that. So with that being said, it's not always good to be safe per se, but if you are worried about losing your nest egg, the G fund may be the option for you, the G or the F. With that being said, if you don't have very much and you're just starting out and you go into the aggressive ones, the benefit of going into the aggressive one and having the long term is you have time for it to recover. And as you can see here in the last year, the C fund pulled a 28.15%. That's huge. S fund as well did very well, but over the 3 average, it also had a negative. So again, you want to look at those longer term returns. Best thing I can tell you is, especially if you're young, set it and forget it. Put it in the C or put it in those life cycle funds. Set it for the year you plan to retire and leave it alone. Don't look at it. Just keep dumping money in it. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.